From scorpion to eagle to phoenix, this is SUITT BOOT, standing up in truth, transformation, and breaking out of trauma. Today, we're talking about Susan Smallwood, and she has lived a lifetime. And we also have our resident therapist, Jianny. She's a licensed mental health counselor. This is a new thing for SUITT BOOT because we're doing a group type of session with Susan Smallwood, La Grande Caviar, and Grandiosity events. She does the Jazz and Polo, and she is the first woman of color to have a caviar brand and also the Jazz and Polo. Susan, thank you for being here with us today. And thank you, Jianny, for also being here with us as well.
Brandy, thanks for inviting me on your
Absolutely.
beautiful platform. I'm gracious.
Thank you. And of course,
Oh,
Jianny.
it's just great to always be back here. I love being here, and this is just like an amazing energy. So you can invite me back anytime.
Oh, yay! Thank you. So now, Susan, let me jump into it. For all of us that don't know you and your brand, tell us about Susan.
Woo, my Lord Jesus, that's going to take forever and ever. But let me give y'all a short version, and then a bullet point version, and then we'll expound off of that.
All right.
So I grew up in a very traumatic childhood. My father was a raging alcoholic. He was very abusive to both my mother and myself, but not to my sister and my brother. So let's fast forward. I was removed from my home, from my family, while living in San Francisco and placed in foster care at age 15. And while they were looking for a family member to take me in, again, was in San Francisco and then moved to Maryland. And that's how I have roots in Maryland for people that wonder how
you ended
up
up.
Maryland. And while I was in Maryland, that's another story because I endured a different kind of abuse and manipulation. And then I wanted to run away, and I joined the Army.
Oh, wow.
9 years old. And while I was in the Army, I endured and survived military sexual harassment.
Oh, wow.
And because of all the sexual harassment, then I ended up getting out. I made them put me out. And when I left there, my life went on a spiral downward progression. And I don't want to talk about that. Now, there's going to be a gap in my story because it's coming up my story in my movie. To about 40. That's how many years there's a gap. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, a lot happened between 17 and like 40, right?
Well, when I got the Army at 21, about 438. A lot happened. So I'm going to fast forward. And then, so when I got out, and I was, I went on. It was terrible. So I was homeless.
So, Susan, when you were describing, you said you were in the foster system, and I had a guest on earlier in my podcast that Darlene, she was a part of the foster care system, and I didn't know that about you. How long were you in the foster system?
So when they took me, that part. And another thing about survivors of abuse, our memory is a little shot.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember the timeline. I just remember that what happened was, and I can share this, I will share this. It's not really public. I did attempt suicide when I was 15, and I took like a bottle of aspirin, Bayer aspirin. And then I ended up going to school at George Washington High School in San Francisco. I told my then friend, she told the counselor called my father. My father ended up showing up with a friend or colleague, and he says in front of my friend and the counselor and his friend, he says, "You should have died."
Oh, wow.
Yes, I was 15. So the counselor of the school says, we call the hospital. They're waiting for you to take her to the hospital. So my father doesn't take me straight to the hospital. He takes me home. So I'm there, I'm in bed, and my body starts getting hot and heated, and my body starts changing colors. Like I start seeing
Oh,
red.
wow.
Like my life starts turning red. Because my mom started like kind of attacking me because my mom was brainwashed by my father. But let me just go back first. My father sexually violated me about 8 years old.
Oh,
So I
wow.
told my mother, she said, don't tell anyone. So when that happened to me, and when my father brought me home, she started like attacking me, and I was like mobilized in the bed, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. The people that are supposed to protect you are what do you call it?
They're your aggressors. They're the ones that are
Yeah, going
coming
against
after you
me.
and going
Yeah, so I
after
was like, oh my
you.
God. So anyways, so finally my mom starts freaking out because she
Mm-hmm.
sees my color changing. And she
Mm.
says, we need to take her to the hospital. So then hospital's been waiting for me. They put the tube down my mouth. They put charcoal. They're trying to pump my stomach.
So that you can bring everything up from the
Yes.
aspirin that you've
Yes. And
ingested.
it's been hours. It's not recent. It's hours that it's lying in my stomach. They said I was going to lose my stomach lining, all this. And
Oh, wow.
whatever.
Yeah, because it has that harsh chemical that ruins your stomach lining and
Yes,
everything like that.
yes.
Yeah.
So then while they said, we're going to keep her overnight. So when they kept me overnight, and then the doctor nurse that was overseeing me, he saw these bruises over my body. And so that's when Child Protective Services was called, and I was removed from my home and placed in foster care. So that was 15 years old.
Oh,
So
wow.
then when they found the family member in Maryland to take me in, it was my grandmother. And it's too many layers, so I gotta fast forward.
Right. Right. We have I said it. You've lived a life,
Yeah,
Susan.
so then I said, I need to get away from this because my father had brainwashed his mother and
Mm-hmm.
my aunt, and my grandmother was hitting on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then I attempted to run away. I was plotting to run away, but I never had the courage to run away. But the way I ran away was I had her sign for me to go in the army at 17. So my first station, training in AIT was in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. My first station base is Krautheim, Germany. I get there and I'm being sexually tormented by the sergeants and officers.
Oh, wow.
So, and then I couldn't take it no more, so I went off in the it was called the mess hall, food service, where all the soldiers ate. And then they took me out of that environment and put me in it's called the orderly room, where that was the admin. So I was awaiting to be put out, but they kept fucking with me.
Mm.
So just so much happening. And so because I was being reactive, I was defending myself.
Right.
So they kept giving me Article 15.
And what is an Article 15?
It's punishment.
Because you were acting out.
Yes, but I was acting. So for anyone that doesn't understand when a child or a person or somebody acts out, it's because something is going on with them. And so I couldn't tell anybody. Well, I did report certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll come back to that. So, and then it was male dominated.
Oh, yes,
And the military
absolutely.
told me when I was in 17 and 1985, right out of high school, 2 weeks after high school. That's how much I was running away. And then I'm running away to abusers.
Yeah. So, Susan, let me ask you. So, you mentioned earlier that at like 8 years old, you were subjected to like abuse by your dad, right? And so, did you feel like the military was gonna be your escape, was gonna be your survival, was gonna be your savior while you enlisted?
You know what? That's a good question. I probably thought that, but you know what's interesting? What was the episode before me? Father wound?
Yes,
I wanted to be like my dad.
that
That
is so
inspired me.
interesting. Oh,
I
wow.
wanted to be like him, and he was my abuser.
You know what, Jianny, let me turn to you real quick for a minute there because that's a lot to unpack for Susan, right? You know, so at 8 and she has this, she doesn't understand what's going on, and then here she goes, dad is doing this negative thing to her, but she still wants to be like dad.
That's what we call a trauma bond or Stockholm syndrome, when the victim bonds with their perpetrator. The strongest system in our body and our essence is love. Love is what we run to for protection. Love is what we bond to thrive. So being that you're entrapped for survival as a child with a parent who's an abuser, the mind doesn't differentiate. All it knows that it needs to survive somehow. And the best way of surviving is actually becoming their best friend and really attaching ourselves to these individuals who actually are abusing and doing bad things to us. So it's called a trauma bond. And eventually we do start, if we go into therapy, start reading, you will understand my brain did that automatically for survival. That's why I did it. There was no intellectual capacity. You were not processing this. It's just the subconscious kicking in to say, I need to survive this somehow.
Wow, that's interesting that you would break it down like that. So I've been in therapy for years. I was in therapy for many years because I hid behind that. I hid behind material possessions. So yes, I bought a big ass house, 7,600 square foot home. I had fancy cars. I had the Chanel bags, the Gucci, the Louis. I had all that, and I wasn't happy. I had marble lions. I had bronze watercolors that got shipped in from art galleries from San Francisco, from New York, in my yard. I had all designer furniture in my house and designer clothes in my closet. I was
Still wasn't
so
happy.
I was hiding behind this mask, but everyone was my friend because you had all the material things.
Absolutely. You had
All the
something to
fake
offer.
friends.
Friends.
They were my fake friends. I was
show
always entertained. Everyone loved coming to my house because I knew the who's who. I knew people, and you know how women know I know the men know I know it was just a whole bunch of stuff. So everybody was my friend, but they weren't my friend. They were
Right.
friends.
They were like your friend, quote unquote, you know, and I'm putting
Friend
up there.
not me.
Yes.
I didn't know that because all my life I was a people pleaser. And it was a result of because oh, love me, like me, love me, like me, because I didn't accept me. Because of what happened to me from the childhood and in the military. You know, nothing happened to me by the grace of God in foster care. And Mary, I want to give her a shout out. She's still alive. I don't know if she is, but thank God she nothing, because I hear horror stories about kids in foster care. So I didn't have any negative experience in foster care.
Oh, and thank God for that.
So when I went into Army and then I came out downward spiral, and then I got into the life.
So how did you get from the military to the luxury items that you were just mentioning? 7,500 square foot house, and tell us how 21-year-old Susan got to all the luxuries.
Because I was introduced to kingpins. So if y'all know what kingpins are, they are organized bosses in the drug world.
Okay.
So I was young and coming from Germany back to the States, and I was introduced to a kingpin who was my father's age.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about a father wound, right? And we were discussing father wounds and mother wounds. And you just made a very interesting correlation that you're like, my dad, right? You went into the military, your dad, and the kingpin. So we have a lot of associations there with dad.
Yeah, but I wasn't into this older gentleman. I wanted the lifestyle, survival. Because when you come from a certain kind of environment, then it's almost like you want to prove to people, or someone is the prince in shining armor.
Oh, the knight in shining armor. Yeah.
And so he flossed me. You know, that's when the Lexus 400 was first out.
Oh, I know. I love it. I had one, the LS4. Yes. Flagship Lexus. Yes.
20-something years old, and I got stopped a couple of times. That's another story, and we're not going to get into that here. So, and then so he flossed me. He adorned me with jewelry, diamonds, everything, my outfits. And I have pictures of it, actually, and I share it on my social media. I go back into my past, and it's interesting. People say, you've always been fly. But I was, again, that was all
fake. Wearing a mask.
I was wearing a mask. It was real. Let me say this. It was real what I was wearing and whatever I was doing. But behind the scenes,
empty.
Flossing to hide my pain.
Right. You weren't happy. You said
I
that.
wasn't happy.
Right. So we have all this material stuff and we're trying to get these possessions because I think sometimes we try to overcompensate because we have this gap.
Yeah.
We have this emotional void that we're trying to fill and we try to take the wrong things, I believe, try to fill that void, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that emotion, a lot of that financial stuff, we were trying to fill that void, right? Because for me, I did the same thing. I mean, I love to dress up in my suits and my boots, right? And I will tell you, it was like my armor of protection, right? But I've been wearing a mask, right? Because it's about control, it's about protection. Because I was looking for Superman because my dad was my hero, he was my everything, right? And so I've always been looking for Superman to come and save me. But I'm not Lois Lane. Superman is not coming. I have to protect myself.
Yes.
And so tell us how Susan realized that Superman wasn't coming.
So I actually, after that, oh my God, there's so many chapters. I have to keep fast forwarding. So I actually started dating this gentleman who was a former professional.
The kingpin. No.
No. After, I'm sorry, let me jump. So after the kingpin, I went to another kingpin.
Okay.
I was dating two back-to-back kingpins, and one of the second kingpin used to date a very, very famous singer right now. I'm not gonna drop her name. Very famous singer. So, and then he went away. I was so in love with him. I went into a depression for 2 years. I didn't come out my room. I barely took showers. I didn't even do my hair. When I finally got up at one time, my hair was so tangled, I had to chop off my hair because I couldn't comb through it. So 2 years. And I had heard Janet Jackson were into a serious, major depression. So I realized it was major depression. I never saw it. I was getting money from all these men, but I never used the money to get help. I was using the money to treat my friends, take them on trips, I go shopping and everything else, but I never invested in myself.
You want to know, Susan, that is so interesting, right? Because a lot of the times we abandon ourselves because you were abandoning yourself there. That little girl, maybe at 8 years old or whatever it is, you've been abandoning yourself and try, you said you're a people pleaser, because I think we associate that love with duty and doing stuff for people, right?
I thought love was external.
That's a good way of saying
I thought it was I didn't know love was inside.
an inside job.
Wow.
Yes. So I'm sorry, Gaga.
No, we were talking about
Clinical depression.
yeah.
So major depression. So I think I heard about this what is major depression and whatever. And so for 2 years I was locked up in my room, and my mother was taking care of my son. So I had guilt, had lots of guilt, but I had forgiven myself. So that's another story. It's another story.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a lot of
forward. Then like I said, I went on a wayward downward spiral, and then I kept running. So I went to Maryland, I went to Detroit, I went to Canada, I went to Arkansas. So I went all these places, but everywhere I went, there I was. So I don't know if you know the saying, wherever you go, there you are.
Oh,
You
yes.
have to face your demons. You have to face yourself wherever you are. So
Absolutely.
everywhere I went,
You were still there.
I was still there.
You couldn't run away from yourself.
The same, everything attracting these kind of same damn people everywhere I went because I didn't do the work.
Wow.
So then fast forward, and when I tell you I was homeless at that one time, and that's I got to fast forward again. Fast forward, and then I ended up back in Maryland. So I'm a master manifester. And I told a girlfriend of mine, I said, I want to live in these condos. It was beautiful in Columbia, Maryland. For anyone that knows about Columbia, Maryland, it was, I think, ranked the first or one of the top places to live in the country. Best education, best place to live. And at the time that I had visited her, and she did not judge me. Choice White.
That is so
Never judge me.
important.
Yeah.
That is so important when you find that friend that's just real and
So
not
I-
judging.
After my father passed, I gotta go back. So my father passed.
Around what age did your dad, how old were you?
He was 50. She was young. What is 27 years younger than me? What is the math? No, that's not right.
Like, so you were like about 30.
I was 30 something. So my father passed away in Arkansas. And then what's so crazy is, oh gosh, so I was sleeping with his gun. My dad had an arsenal of weapons because he was in the army.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sleeping with the gun because I thought someone was coming to hit me. I slept with a loaded gun.
So for how long did you sleep with the loaded gun?
Well, after he passed, I was like, oh my gosh, someone's going to try to kill me because they want the money and blah, blah, blah. I thought my dad had all these life insurance policies.
Mm-hmm.
And when he died, he only had like $10,000. So he didn't have a lot. Anyway, long story short, but there's so much more. I just can't tell it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let me fast forward. So I ended up leaving Arkansas and I went to Maryland with my friend Joyce. She let me stay with her. And I was spastic. I was a basket case. If I were her at the time, I probably would have been like, I don't think you can stay.
And I'd be like, no, crazy girl, you're getting out of here. But thank God for that.
Walked to me with open arms. Let me stand in the other room. Jewelry, whatever. One thing about me, didn't steal nothing. I just had some mental issues.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, then I said I want to move into one of these units. She said one became available. It took years. I had no job.
This was a sought after spot.
I had no job.
Wow.
And I had bad credit.
Oh my Lord. That's like the double whammy.
When she told me that the place became available, I called the owner and I had a meeting with him. I didn't want to okay.
I will tell you what a little
4 years and I built my credit up. Wonderful. That's the power of ministry.
wow. That is
Power of
awesome.
believing in myself. But there's a piece that I didn't talk about. So when the next future interviews and y'all know some more heavy stuff, it's like you made it through all that. Yes, I did. So I stayed there for 4 years, got my credit together. Then I built a very, very profitable business coming from being homeless.
Wow. So you've been a survivor your entire life.
So I'm not talking about this piece. That's coming out of my movie too. There's another part of my chapter that's coming out of my movie. So I built a so that's how I ended up buying the house. I got my credit right. And I bought a 7,600 square foot home. And I had marble lights shipped in from the art gallery in San Francisco. Bronze water fountain shipped in from New York. And I had all this fancy furniture, looked like a museum in my house. And I had no co-signer and I was a jumbo loan. Coming from being homeless.
Wow. That is awesome.
I just want to share the power of believing in yourself. I knew how to get out of a situation. But if you knew exactly more that was going on, you'd be like, oh my God, you really made all that happen. Yes, it did. But
what we know is impressive already without even the parts that you're not saying.
Yeah.
Because this is awesome.
This is called resiliency. That's what we call that, resiliency.
Yeah.
And you end up being like the overachiever, overfunctioner. And what the traumas that you've encountered, it's been the source of your fire and your passion to excel. So it's not all negative. And if you had not had all that pressure, because you've had a ton of pressure from all the trauma and abuse, you wouldn't have been pushed that far. It's a yin and a yang. There's a good and a negative of going through all these life experiences.
Yes. So that's where I came from. So when you said a man got it, no, a man did not. I did it myself with God.
You go, girl. Boom. I love it.
The belief in the love inside of me. But I was dating a former MLB,
Major League Baseball player.
He had the way. I was taking care of his ass. So anyway, that's another story. So anyway, but he helped me in other ways. So money is not everything. So that's another piece.
Absolutely.
So he was like my provider, but he kind of was a protective provider also because he had the lifestyle.
Yes.
So anyway, so
But let me ask you, Susan. So, do you think you were doing more of the providing and the protecting in that relationship versus the man? Because were you still looking for Superman, and you think maybe you could create him or build him?
yes, I did. And I had a lot of masculine energy. I didn't know about the energetic fields then.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was brought to my attention, Susan, you are yelling at him. You are emasculating him. So I didn't know that.
Mm.
But he allowed it.
Well, I think it's interesting, right? Because someone cannot be emasculated, but maybe he wasn't in his masculine energy, right? And so that is why he probably allowed that. We have to step into the energy that we want to be. You know how you said you're manifesting what you want to be, what you want to create? He was taken care of.
Yes, he was like a woman.
You were nurturing him,
Yes.
you were caring for him, and maybe he had a mother wound or a father wound that he needed that nurturing, and he was allowing it. And there's no way he can step into his masculine energy to be the man he's supposed to be for you, that you deserve, right?
true.
And that is what I learned, right? So in essence, I was looking for Superman, but I was not opening the door or giving Superman the ability to fly in to save me, because I was having that mother wound that I wanted to fix him. I wanted to nurture him. I wanted to take care of him. But in our feminine energy, we are the ones that should be taken care of.
That is so correct. And then both his parents were on drugs, but he was talented that he got drafted into the baseball.
Right, right.
And he had a rotator cuff injury, so his career didn't last long. So he didn't even have compensation after he got out. He was working a
Wow.
regular job. And when he met me shortly afterwards, I kind of had him quit his job and
Mhm.
kind of took care of me,
Mhm.
but I was controlling because when anyone takes care of someone in any relationship, they're going to be controlling.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The
so
yeah, the
I had the
rescuer.
masculine role. So anyway, so fast forward, that was, and then I told him I didn't want the relationship no more, and I was never in love with him.
Mm.
He was, I don't know, I guess
It was a codependent relationship.
codependent,
Because you're trauma bonded too.
trauma bonded, codependent.
And I think essentially trauma bonding is not really love, right?
No, it wasn't. I got over him
Yeah.
within a week.
It's an addiction many times, and our relationship is very highly addictive. And then we can't get away from them because we're addicted to these individuals.
And I had low self-esteem. You know, I put him on a pedestal because he was a former baseball player, but he didn't have no money.
Right.
So, but it was my low self-esteem that accepted that.
So you felt safe
Yeah.
in that
I felt
in that
safe.
dynamic because you had the power.
Right.
And he needed you.
He needed me, and I needed him. So I don't want to make it one way. It's
Yeah.
things I did need him too, because he was my protector. Because I would drink a lot, and I go out, I spend a lot of money, and people took advantage of me.
And essentially you trauma bonded, right? So, and that's how you have that codependency, because you needed something from him and he needed something from you emotionally. And I think you were on that path to kind of look to fulfill that void, right? So now I know that you eventually went on to go to federal prison. How did you end up there?
So after that relationship, went into a funk. I was sitting on a lot of money. I don't want to talk about that piece, but so anyway, so I got into an agreement with someone I had just met. I had only just met her less than a year, and I did an agreement with her, and we ended up getting busted on a drug deal, conspiracy to distribute cocaine, and I ended up pleading and serving time at
Camp Cupcake, right?
when Martha Stewart and celebrity Billie Holiday served time.
Oh.
I'm going to tell you that was that was what God, universe, angels, and ancestors wanted to sit me down, because that's when I learned to love myself and believe in myself, but really not, because then I cheated. I cheated it while I was there. And then when I got out, I got into a horrible abusive relationship. And I lost my house. So I know we don't have time for the rest of this, but that's a whole nother.
Right. I said you've lived. I told you you've lived a life.
Horrible. That abusive relationship I entered in when I came home because I didn't listen. They said, don't go home and get into a relationship. Nurture a plant or a pet. And I got into a relationship and he was abusive.
Wow. So like the old patterns. Now, quickly, let me ask you. So you spent like what, about 5 years?
No, 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Total. Yes.
And then, so you came out of prison, and then, I know you faced a lot of things in there. So tell me anything there that inspired you to, you have the Caviar brand, you have Grandiosity. Then
That was in forethought. That was. They called me grandiose and haughty because they said I was stuck up, and they said they thought I was what do you call it? Making up shit, and everything that they saw was real, accurate, and factual. When I came home, I did even grander stuff. Named my production company Grandiosity Events. First woman of color to produce polo with all black polo plays. The first woman of color to latte caviar brand.
And tell us about the Ooh La La. What is the Ooh La La and the smoothness?
The spirit came and it started coming out of me. I don't know. I have no answer on how it came out, but words have a frequency. Ooh La La has a frequency of 5,000 hertz. So anything that has high level hertz brings and attracts grander grandness.
Ooh La La, love
Ooh
it.
La La, cheers to
Love
grand
it. Yes, cheers to the grand life. So, Susan, before we go, and honestly, it's not enough time to even talk about your story. We like just kind of like hit the cusp of a little tasting, right? Like a little snack. But tell us, so we know that you have the Grand Caviar, Grandiosity events, you do the Jazz and Polo, and congratulations on the beautiful event that you did in Dumfries, Virginia. You were there with the mayor at Dumfries, and you did the Jazz and Polo. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yes. And so, how were you able to come out of all of that and turn that pain into the purpose that
So
is
there's
all of your...
my third new platform is called Culture Grand. Remember, words are powerful. Culture Grand is my third platform. It's a platform for
I love
a
it.
lot of people out here that don't want to own and admit. But when you luxury, I'm in a luxury space. Luxury is living in your true authenticity, not giving a fuck what anyone thinks.
Oh, I love it. I love that. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And Susan, I just love how you're living in your truth. You've transformed. And that is exactly what SUITT BOOT is about. Standing up in truth, transformation, and breaking out of trauma. And I could not even think of a better spokesperson, a better person that is kind of like the poster girl for SUITT BOOT. I mean, look at everything you've accomplished. We haven't even touched the surface. And we talked briefly about a movie that you have coming out about your life. Tell us what you can about that briefly before we go.
And I'm creating my voice list for other characters and people to be in my movies. So so stay tuned. That's in development. Grandest thanks. The grandest thanks to the producer, Walter Frank, for believing and loving my story. Ooh la la.
Ooh la la. And Susan, that is so magnificent. Again, and I know that we just scratched the surface. You have a story to tell. The movie is coming out soon. That's in production. You have a major person that's going to play your life. Tell me, and before we go, how did you go from cocaine to caviar?
Ooh la la. So that's a good question. So I couldn't get into depth and divulge a lot, but I was, charged with conspiracy to distribute cocaine, but the title means much more than that. So that's coming out. Stay tuned.
All right, wonderful, Susan. It was such a pleasure. And before we go, can you tell the audience how they can find you, how they can find the movie that's coming out, your social media, your polo and jazz, your caviar company? I mean, I could go on and on, girl, because, so just tell everyone where they can find you. Thank you for being here.
You can follow me, Susan Smallwood, Grandiosity Events, Facebook, IG, LinkedIn. La Grande Caviar, and Coterie ran my new platform, a platform for perfectly imperfect people like my dance self.
That's beautiful.
That is so beautiful. And Jianny, thank you so much. You are a resident therapist.
I have my final words after hearing all of this. What rich is being happy, healthy, wealthy, and holy.
Holy.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, yes. Homeless,
Beautiful.
on our true authentic journey. That's what rich is about. That's what luxury is about.
Absolutely.
It's not about a material thing.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
That is so awesome. So I thank you so much for being here, Susan. And I thank you, Jianny, for being here.
Exactly.
This is like the first time we've done this format. It was beautiful. You know, we need to be more time. But thank you for joining me. And thank you for standing up in truth and transformation and breaking the chains of trauma with me. Again, my name is Tshai Wright. And still we rise. Thank you. Ooh la la. Thank you.